You must be at least 18 years of age to listen to the following podcast. I am Robert Black, and you are listening to Sexual Heroes. My guest, Landon Lange, shares the exploration of his body, self-pleasure, and self-sucking. After a little over a year as a performer on JustForFans, he has created a persona that breaks through kink shame barriers and faces his real-life fear of rejection. Landon, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You are fairly new to internet porn. What was your inspiration for that?
I always enjoyed watching porn, so...
I can understand that. I mean, when I got into it many, many years ago, there were certain porn performers that I sort of idolized. Yeah. I thought, wow, they can get in front of a camera and do all that. I thought that was amazing. And I just, I wanted to be like that, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Thought it was a great thing.
I think I've said several times before when I've been watching porn to myself, or if I'm baiting with other people watching porn, that I wish life was a porno. So now it kind of is.
It kind of is. That's right. I asked you for a reason.
Yes, you did.
Okay. You're here because you have a certain talent.
Yes, I do.
And I just want to say that if somebody said to me I could have a superpower, I would say screw flying, screw walking through walls, screw being invisible. I want to be able to suck my own dick. And maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I would pick the flying. But anyway, it would come a close second.
Yeah, for sure.
I did a little survey on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
I asked everyone, if you could suck your own dick, would you do it? And the first option was yes, and take my own load. The second option was yes, but not shoot. And the third option was no. And 87.5% answered yes, and they would take their own load. 3.1% yes, but they wouldn't shoot. And then 9.4% said no, they wouldn't do it.
Oh, I think they're probably lying.
So I want to find out your story about this ability. When did you realize you could do this?
I do think it was around the time I was 14 or 15. I remember I was probably in 8th grade, I think, when I first realized or first accomplished this feat.
And tell me about that day you did it the first time.
Oh, God.
Are you embarrassed?
No.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know. It's just funny to me going back to my 14-year-old self's mind. It's a scary place. I mean, I was obviously, well, not obviously, but I was by myself. I want to say the first time I actually was able to do it was in my bedroom. And I don't remember why I had decided that was when I was going to try to do it. But in the video that you saw, I'm kind of like leaning up against the bed, and then I put my legs up above my head. So I'm pretty sure that's the first position that I was able to suck myself in.
At that point, had you sucked anybody else's dick?
No.
So your own dick was the first dick you sucked?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess you liked it because you've done it since then.
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to come in your own mouth?
I was. Mm-hmm. And I will say it was easier when I was 14 than it is now.
You were a little more limber then?
Yes, very much so.
What I've heard a lot, and it's true for myself, once I come, I lose the interest in eating cum, whether it's somebody else's or my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if I were sucking my own dick, I would shoot in my own mouth because of the timing.
Exactly. The timing is perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're all like your engine is revved. You're ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
You shoot, you get the satisfaction, and then it's all over.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's kind of hard not to be honest.
Oh.
Or at least it used to be. This time it kind of was. Again, that's probably due to my advanced age.
Mm-hmm. Normal folk who don't have the superpower, they just, masturbate. But since you have that option or have had that option, is it something that you do all the time or once in a while?
Gosh, I do not do it often. When I first discovered I could do it, I did it often. And also that was before I discovered that I could suck other guys' dicks, which is even more fun. And it's funny because actually that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, even more so than getting fucked.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and people think I'm weird, like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, I just do. I enjoy it.
I would have been doing it all the time. If I was a kid and able to do that, man, I would have been locked in my bedroom all the time. And I'm sure my mom, she wouldn't have known, but probably would have made her laundry a little easier. I've mentioned in a past episode, I used my socks to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah.
If I had been able to swallow it, that would have been even better. Now, is it more just for performing?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that what people ask you to do? Is that why people find you? Is that your big draw? Or
it's funny, I was actually just talking to a friend the other day, and I was telling her I have this interview and what it was for. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, well, yeah, I can do that. It's, I've been on Twitter and JustForFans for a little over a year. And yeah, this is the first time I've ever filmed myself and put it out there.
Going back to your teens, when you found out you could do it, I know when I wasn't even a teenager yet when I started getting off, I think. I would jerk off to hot actors on television. And afterwards, I would feel guilty and go through all that shame about, being gay and you didn't want to be gay. And all this shit went through my head. What was it like for you? Did you have some of that too? Or were you just like, ooh, thank God I can do this?
I absolutely had that. And, I had the same shame that I felt when I jerked off normally, whatever normal means. And then it was kind of exacerbated when I sucked myself off, because essentially it was like I was having sex with myself. And growing up in a Christian household, having gay sex was definitely wrong. Having sex before marriage, sex is bad unless you're married and you're heterosexual. So
yeah. Well, I grew up in a Jewish household, and it was pretty much the same. I think religion overall is not real sex positive.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. When I came out to my mom at 15, she told me that she would rather that I had cancer. So, yeah, it didn't go over too well.
I didn't have the same exact experience. I can relate to that a little bit. My mom specifically said, what did I do wrong? And was thinking about, her and my dad had a 529 fund for my college. And she was thinking about not using it for me.
Because you
were
when
gay. She found, yeah, when she found out I was sexually active.
Were you religious yourself at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. All up until maybe my senior year of high school.
That's where we differ, because we were Jewish, but when I was preparing for my bar mitzvah, I said to the rabbi, I don't want a bar mitzvah. And he would say, why? And I told him, because I don't believe in God. He just freaked out. I was anti-religion from day one. I never, have you escaped it? Or are you still religious?
I can understand why you would use the word escape, because the way we experienced religion was somewhat of a prison. I don't think everyone who is religious wants people to feel the way that we have felt. But yeah, I can understand why you would say that, and I would probably say the same thing too.
Getting back to today, being able to suck yourself off. When you're with a date, is that something they want to see? Is that something you're likely to do when you're with someone, or is that?
I've done it at least once with someone. It was a hookup. I don't remember if I told him I could do it before I actually did it, or if I just did it and he was like, oh, that's hot. Actually, I'm kind of getting turned on now thinking about this.
Me too.
Yeah. And this was back when I was younger too. I think I just gotten out of high school. I think he was eating me out and pushing my ass closer and closer to my face. So I'm like, okay, well, we're getting to that region, so I'm going to go ahead and just, try to suck it. And I did, and he thought it was incredibly hot. So then I asked him to suck it with me. So that was extremely hot. Yeah. And I think I've maybe seen 1 or 2 videos in the hours and hours that I've spent scouring the internet for self-sucking porn, where someone joins the person who's self-sucking, which I don't know why that's incredibly hot to me. Yeah.
I remember the closest I got to that was someone was rimming me. I was stroking myself, and he was pushing my legs up, and they were going over my head, and I was jerking off, and it was aimed at my mouth. So what the hell?
Yes. Good.
So obviously no shame about it anymore. You're doing it on cam. You're able to talk about it. Did you ever get caught?
No, surprisingly. Yeah, not to my knowledge. If my mom ever saw me, she never said anything. So, but I don't think she did. Actually, she never caught me. However, because I was so pious or religious or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And I felt so much guilt about it. I'm pretty sure I actually told her what I could do. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I told my mom everything growing up. I lost my dad when I was 8. Shortly thereafter did have a stepdad. However, I always felt closer to my mom. So, and I felt guilty all the time. And I don't know if you can relate to that. You having grown up in a religious household, she was kind of like my priest in a way. I would go there and tell her these things and be like, oh, okay, I don't have to feel guilty anymore.
So you told your mother you could suck your own dick?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
And she said, oh, that's nice.
No, I'm pretty sure she said talk to your stepdad about it.
Oh, did you?
I did, actually, because I remember him saying, he's like, wow, I can't believe you can do that. Luckily, in my household, my mom actually was not against masturbation.
Oh.
Which is, it's interesting. And I don't know if you've ever heard of, I think it's Dr. Dobson, Focus on the Family.
No.
Good. It's a good thing you haven't.
Oh.
He's just like I think he's a Christian counselor. She kind of went off of his beliefs, and he didn't believe that masturbation was wrong. I guess the sin, quote unquote, came in when you started thinking about having sex with someone else, which I don't know about you, but before I started watching porn, I didn't really need to think about sex. I was just having fun jerking myself off.
You mean you didn't need to think about having sex with other people?
Correct.
You were fine getting yourself off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Even now, well, especially if the cam is running. Yeah, I'm totally turned on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very satisfying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big old exhibitionist. Tell us about what you're doing now. You're more than just a self-sucker. Is it all solo, or are you having guests?
When I first started, I think the first 3 videos I put up were solo because I didn't feel comfortable putting anything up. Number one, because just this is a hassle with the whole like 2257 and that kind of paperwork when you're actually making money on JustForFans. Although I'll put stuff on Twitter of myself with others and not worry about it. So I was doing work with other people. And then after coronavirus really started becoming the pandemic, I stopped hooking up. And for the most part, I'll be honest.
Very responsible of you.
I didn't completely stop, but I definitely scaled back. And there were a couple months there where I didn't at all. And I didn't want my subscribers to go away. That's when I started doing a lot of solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Another talent I have, and I've seen several people with this talent. I don't know how obscure it is, but I
can't wait to hear. Oh, yes, I did see that.
Yeah. For a while, when I was prepping for a hookup to make sure everything was good to go, I would fist myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's another superpower.
Yeah. I mean, I do have small hands, but I mean, I guess the fact that I can reach around that way is kind of cool. So
you're like a gay X-Man.
I don't know about that, but thank you. I'm flattered.
What else would you like people to know about you?
Kind of continuing on what I can do. I'm into trying different things. I've tried spanking. I don't think I really like pain that much, which is funny to say because I like getting fisted and there is an amount of pain there. And I do like sounding.
Wow. Yeah. I know a lot of guys do it. Someone helped me experiment with that once. It was, yeah. Wow.
What did you think?
Not for me.
Not for you?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah. And that's I guess that's the thing I want people to know about me is for the most part, I'll try anything once. And maybe that's in part because of being so repressed growing up.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did send me some information before the interview, and you mentioned something about breaking through kink shame barriers. Is this what you're talking about now?
Yeah, it is. So even after coming out, I didn't do a whole lot of kinky things at first, but as time went on and I discovered that I was into fisting and sounding and piss play, I got some not so pleasant reactions on like Grindr. So in order to keep my options open, I wouldn't disclose all of my kinks right away. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have a similar experience with that.
When it comes to my kink side, I keep that, as far as M for M sites go, I keep it to a site that's geared towards kink.
Gotcha.
So I totally understand.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. My goal, especially after creating the persona of Landon, because that's not my real name.
Wow, what a surprise.
It's been really exciting though, because Landon doesn't have to be ashamed. I am just putting myself out there on Twitter and JustForFans. I'm not apologizing for putting a video of me fisting myself or putting a sounding rod down my dick.
I'm totally connecting with you because Robert Black, that became my persona. I actually relate more to my Robert Black persona than I do my supposedly my real self and real name. That's just something that I have to have, that I was given. I have to have that real job and that real name, but the real me is Robert Black.
I love that.
And my friends know me as Robert Black.
And that's what I want for myself. The quote unquote real me can't find that self-confidence, but Landon can.
I totally get it. So through all that you've done, through growing up and allowing yourself to try all these different things, including sucking your own dick, the different types of kink activities, what do you think you've learned from all that you can share with everybody else? Like, what's the bottom line?
I would say if you're afraid, and I still am afraid of what people think, and like I said, fear of rejection, I think the key is to not get rid of the fear, but control it, I guess, in a way.
So face your fear.
Yeah.
And say, fuck you to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
I will say I'm honored to be on this podcast.
Aw, I'm so glad I asked you. I mean, I like you. I really, you're great.
Thank you.
What a nice surprise. I mean, because, I didn't know.
Yeah. I was super flattered when you reached out to me. And the fact that I listened to the interview you had with Big Dipper, to me, he's someone that's like made it. So the fact that I'm on the same podcast that Big Dipper's been on, I'm like, wow, okay.
Well, Landon, thank you very much for joining me today. It was
Yeah.
great getting to know you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For information with links about a guest appearing on Sexual Heroes, visit the show notes at sexualheroes.com or on your favorite podcast app. And while you're there, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow and message me on Twitter at RobertBlackXXX and on Facebook at RealRobertBlack. Thanks for listening.